Hi everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, and I'm joined with Connor.
Hey everyone.
As always, we are the two guys that do all the DC shows. We're going to talk about Supergirl, Season 1, Episode 14. The episode's called... I was going to say the full Superman title there. This episode's called Truth, Justice, and the American Way. I was going to say what's so funny about Truth, Justice, and the
Yes,
American
yes.
Way.
What's so funny about that is that just before we started recording, you goes, "Oh, that's fine. I know that title. Won't be a problem. I'll remember that. Don't need to look it up."
Yeah, but then the reason why I thought
I
I'd
fluffed
remember
it.
it is the exact reason why I got it wrong.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
yeah, right. Yeah, so there's a famous Superman story called What's So Funny about Truth, Justice, and the American Way, and I almost said that. But, anyway, good episode. Full
Yes.
spoilers for the episode, as always. So, worth warning you there. This was a really good episode, actually. I liked a lot of what this episode was doing. I have some nitpicks, and we're going to nitpick because it's a review, and that's what we do, but we'll save that for later. Um, I think the core thematic question of this story was really good.
Yes, I agree.
It was dealing with Kara being a little bit pissed, and it was Jimmy saying, "Look, this is not what Superman does. That's not what that symbol in that chest means.
Yeah.
You're doing this wrong."
I will say flat out right now, this episode has the best scenes James has had in this entire show.
Oh, James, yeah, easy. The only thing that would come close is the scene that he had with General Lane when he says, "You align yourself with people who are special to make yourself feel special."
Yeah.
That was a good scene too. But this is directly him and him saying things, and yes, this is the best thing he said
Yeah.
in the entire show so far. This was special Superman style stuff, and I say that because that's typically you think of Superman first because he was created first, and Supergirl's an offshoot of Superman, but it's what makes them a hero, what makes them special, what makes people call Superman the Boy Scout, what makes him that Boy Scout. But it brings up that great question of if you had all this power, if you had the power of a god, why should people not fear you, and why, what makes you a hero? And it's been better than that. It's holding yourself to such a high standard, and he says something like, "It doesn't matter about all the strength, it doesn't matter about all the powers. When it comes down to you versus the enemy, it comes down to your values over theirs." Fucking nailed it.
Oh, yeah. Some great dialogue there.
Nailed it.
This is the Superman that we don't have in any other media right now. I would go as far as to say,
No, I agree. I think,
including even the comics for the most part.
yeah, the comics are a bit muddled. Obviously, recent comic book news means that, in a few months' time, that might all be
Yeah.
sorted. And there's not necessarily no good Superman in the comics, but it's in a bit of a muddled place right now because
This is more of a classic Superman take.
I would say it's a more right Superman take.
I would agree, but
But it's not Superman, it's Supergirl.
it is. But it's,
Which
it's
is
kind
fine.
of the same thing in this
Yeah.
sense because
But-
they're the same ideals.
Yeah, the same ideals. But what I like about it is we spoke about, I think last week when we spoke about how much, or not 2 weeks ago, but in the last episode, when we spoke about how in the comics she has an anger issue, and we said that we didn't think they'd probably go into it too much, and I don't think they did. But she's having that edge. She's having that edge.
It's still just there,
Yeah.
kind of bubbling away under the surface, and I like that.
It's there, and it's something that Superman doesn't really have. At least not as an adult. Superman maybe has it as a teenager, and he gets through it through adolescence and teachings of the father and Jonathan Kent and all that.
Yeah,
Whereas here, she's still dealing with some of those issues, and it's to be expected because she landed here as a 13-year-old or something like that. She was already,
early teens,
Yeah.
around that area.
fairly, but at that point, you're already starting to become who you are. So she remembers Krypton, she remembers all this, and she's got anger issues. And we've explored that before, the episode with Red Tornado, when she goes all heat vision, ultra, and all that. I just thought it was really well explored here. I thought the fact that Jimmy's the one, because he's the one who knows Superman and has met Superman and is friends with him, who calls her on her shit. I actually really like that. It's like,
Yeah.
no, that symbol means something. You need to be better than this.
Yeah, it's just so well done that there's just it could be so easy to mess that up
Yeah.
and just have it come off as cheesy or just overdone,
And
but it
could
doesn't.
like the title of the episode is "The Truth, Justice, and the American Way," and at one point he says, "You're meant to stand up for truth and justice." And if he'd have said "and the American Way," I'd have said it went into cheesy territory because that, as much as it's fine for the title, actually having a character say that is really cheesy in 2016.
It is.
ultra
But
cheesy.
I actually thought he was going to say it, and I was a little bit worried. because it kind of he started doing the line. I was like, is he gonna do the whole thing?
And
And then he just stopped. It's like, nice.
and I think to analyze why it is cheesy, beyond it just being a really cheesy line, I think the reason why it comes off as so cheesy now, and we're analysing this as a pair of non-Americans, so, but I think the whole idea of it first of all, they're defenders of the entire planet, not just America, right? That's first and foremost. But secondly, I think even Americans have grown quite cynical about their own country, to the point where the whole, it's like the American way is more of this, it's this dream of what we should be rather than what it actually is,
Yeah.
You know.
And like these supers are, it's universal. Like it's not bound to any nationality. It's like is just, it appeals to everyone.
So I think for both of those reasons, it just works better to not use that. Even though it's fine for the title, because it's a nice callback to history and legacy, and that's all cool. Because, if you're Superman fans, if you're Supergirl fans, and you like that history, it's good to reference that. But I think as actual dialogue, it would have felt really forced and cheesy. So kudos to that. Also good stuff.
Yeah.
The action in this episode was also pretty good, I thought, for the most part. I thought the fight with
Master Jailer.
No, it's not Jailer, is it?
I think it is. I think it's Master Jailer.
Maybe, yeah, I think you're right. I know it's Master something. I'm just questioning Jailer, but you may be right. It sounds.
I was like 99% sure until you've questioned me, and now I'm like 75.
Well, you know what? Just for the sake of thingy, I'm just going to double check. Yeah, it's Master Jailer. I do apologise.
Okay,
I don't know why. I just doubted myself there, but yeah. I thought his change things were cool for a start. I thought the chains were a nice addition to the combat.
I was a little confused as to how they worked when they were chaining. Like when he chained her legs, I got it, but then he chained her arms. It was like, where is this coming from? Like, is it going from one to the next? Is he like shooting and attaching it both ends?
Well, basically the way I solved it in my head was it's kind of like Spider-Man's webs. You can just sort of, because Spider-Man can do that. You can web people up.
Yeah, that's true.
So I just sort of figured it was like that. But I thought there were some cool moments there. I liked that, because the whole thing was like, when's she going to use the heat vision? She's going to have to use it. And she only used it to get herself out of the chains, but I'm glad it became a thing. And I liked she was struggling with the news puncher. My only complaint in terms of the action is, when he captures her, I thought it was a bit weird that we didn't see how he captures her. It just sort of cuts away as if she's in trouble. And I'm like, well,
I thought in that mid-episode fight, that one with the chains, I felt the budget a little bit with the way it was cut. Like they were hiding some stuff. Which is a shame, because it did look really good other than that. But there was a little bit where I just felt where they were trying to hide things.
And then, it was a lot of maybe medium close-ups where you would have liked a further back shot to see everything going on. I get that.
Again, I can't really complain because it's still pretty good.
Yeah, for a TV show, it was pretty good. Speaking of, not so much enough. I mean, there was effects involved, but see at the start when Non brings Kara to the funeral of her aunt.
Yeah.
I really liked at the end of that when everyone else left and she was just left there floating on her own.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really nice moment.
Yeah, it didn't last very long, but it's just good.
Yeah, I mean, I could have done with it maybe lasting a couple of seconds longer just to let it sink in a bit. But it was just a really nice shot, and it was a really nice visual of her just being kind of sad and in the air. If I have a nitpick, my main nitpick for this episode would be how pissed Kara is at Jean. Felt a little bit much, because she's like being proper catty with him, and
I kind of get it after the funeral. If it had happened before the funeral, like I'd feel like it was a bit weird. But after the funeral, and you had that shot, and it's like it felt a bit more.
No, don't get me wrong. Because like at first I forgot. Okay, yeah, like she was actually close with her as a family member back in Krypton when she was a kid. So there is actual genuine like years of memories of good things there. It's not just what we've seen on Earth. So that's fair enough. It was just like the one that bothered me particularly was when it's like, it's a bad day to mention my like family. That one
was weird.
That one kind of stuck out to me, and it just kind of felt, I don't know, like just
it feels
too much.
what it is, it feels of a case of let's really show how much she feels about this, so that when she finds out it was Alex, you'll get the impact.
Yeah, because I feel like the drama's not being forced, but they're forcing it to the front. Like,
Yeah,
it would be better if this was boiling under a little bit more. If she
yeah,
was
I
just kind
agree.
of cold off with him and like standoffish. Um,
I think my only other complaint really was in the second fight at the end with Master Jailer. Alex kind of was she was losing, but she was holding her ground reasonably well for the most part.
and it's a
And this is a
Kryptonian.
guy
Yeah.
who was facing off with Supergirl, like toe to toe and winning at times. It's like this kind of felt a bit
Yeah.
weird.
I did like the sun moment though when the sun
I
like
did.
comes through. I was like,
I,
oh
I
yeah, so
it's
this
good.
is how it wins. I like that there's another random like criminal, in earmarks,
Reformed.
reformed criminal, yes, a guy who, for all intents and purposes, seems all right. Like, and I
Yeah,
like that Kara let him go, and he's like, yeah, you got people to
I
teach.
thought him messing up the phrases got a little like they did that a couple too many times.
They only did it twice, I think. Did that maybe
And
three times?
maybe three times. I felt like the first one I was like, all right, okay, and then the second one I was just over it already.
Yeah, I guess maybe a bit far fetched that he's teaching people in class, but he's getting words wrong here or
Yeah,
there. Yeah, yeah, it's a little bit weird, but it was such a small element. I didn't really give it
yeah.
much
It
notice.
wasn't a big deal.
Um, the hologram of her mother, like when they asked about this, I can't remember what the word there was now. The
Myriad.
myriad. There you go. So that's setting up obviously something for later in the season. Some big thing is going to go down when Non pops back in.
Yes.
We also got a new face at the company. We get a second assistant, or assistant number one, as a cat called her. A nice little friendly rivalry for Kara at work.
Yes.
That was alright. I think she seems. Well, I say she seems fine. She's obviously a bit of a cow in terms, but she's meant to be a cow. Like she's,
Yeah.
she's a,
But she's a perfectly acceptable bitch.
yeah, like she's fine in that role. She's like, I think she's not annoying me. I think,
What it did though is it led me to another one of those. You know, a few weeks ago how we pondered the pizza question.
yeah.
This led me to another. Do Americans not know how to say Siobhan if they see it spelled out?
Oh yeah, apparently not.
That really
But
threw me. I was like,
actually, to be fair, the first time I ever seen that word, and this was when I was like 19, I didn't know how to say it either.
oh, really?
I'd heard the word Siobhan, like I'd heard that name, but I'd never seen it spelled. So
Oh.
I'd seen it, I was like, Siobhan? What the fuck? So
Maybe it's because I'm from like an Irish family and because it's an Irish name.
yeah,
And in Ireland, when you have like an S followed by a vowel, you don't say the S. You say it as like a sh, like a ch sort of sound.
yeah. Because no, so I can relate to that actually. Because I mean,
Okay.
Kara's like what, 25 in this, 24, something like that.
Yeah, about
And I was like maybe 19, 20 when I first seen that name written down. So
that. Okay. It's one of those that I didn't think. I was like, this is weird. Do Americans not know this? Because it's such a. I know so many people with that name that it feels quite common.
honestly, I didn't think of this when I was watching it, but it was almost exactly like when I first seen it written down. Like my reaction to it, I was like, "What the fuck is that name?"
Okay, then maybe it's not just Americans. Maybe it is just yeah. Okay, I'll allow it.
Yeah, there you go. I did quite like the moment actually when Kara leaves and she catches Win sort of looking over at her and she winks at him, and
Yeah.
Win's just like, "What the fuck? What am I meant to do that?"
Yeah, Wayne hasn't had a lot to do these last couple of weeks, has he?
I liked him last week or the last episode.
He did a little bit, but he hasn't. He's kind of taken a back seat since he had that big episode.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure he'll come back with a vengeance soon enough.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So that's most of it. The only other thing, really, all in the fun cat stuff, which was amusing. Like cat's pretty funny.
Before we get to this, there's one thing I also didn't like: the stuff with Lucy and the.
Well, that's what I was about to get to.
Oh, was it? I thought you were going to go into the references and stuff, but
Oh no, I was leaving that. Yeah, we'll get to the references. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, the stuff with Lucy. Do you know? I didn't hate it. I don't really like her as a character, and she kind of just annoys me when she's on screen. Luckily, she's not on too much. But what I did like about it, I did kind of like the idea that they broke up in Metropolis because she was jealous of his relationship with Superman. So I like the idea that she's jealous again with Supergirl.
yeah. But she seems to like the fact that she assumes that it's more than a friendship and platonic and makes it into a relationship thing.
Yeah, I didn't like that line at the end when she's like, "Oh, is it more than that?" Like,
That's what really
yeah,
pushed it over to, oh, it's this again.
yeah. She is the worst part of the show.
Yes, I will agree
Luckily,
with
she's a small part of the show. She's not there all the time, really. She's not there
that.
a
Yeah.
lot. She misses entire episodes, so I can't complain too much. But
Yeah, when that's the worst part of the show, I mean, it's pretty solid.
yeah, we're not in too bad territory. The other thing I want to mention about Jimmy and Kat specifically, the story she tells Jimmy that sort of helps prompt him to go back to Kara and like give her the good speech about the guy who shot his wife because after she could have reported that he was wife beaten. I thought it was a really dark story.
Yeah, it was.
Because it was like, oh, and the makeup artist was like saying she found bruises, and then she's like, no, I caved, and and I just thought she was going to say I regretted it ever since, but it's like, oh no, 3 months later he killed her. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, that took a step up.
Yeah, I was like, Jesus, that was dark, but it played into the whole morality thing. So like, it's not just about being good journalists; it's about being good people.
Yeah.
And that obviously that spurred Jimmy on, and so it was a good scene. I liked that scene.
Yeah.
It was actually nice to see them bond a little bit.
Yeah. We've nitpicked over quite a few things, but they're generally small things that don't really bother us, I think. For the most part, this was a pretty great episode.
I mean, Lucy was literally in 2 scenes.
Yeah.
And one of them was the scene we mentioned. And even that had some redeeming qualities, I thought. Just
yeah. It wasn't entirely awful.
Which would leave us with the references. Well, 2 references. There was one you spotted that I didn't quite catch. You mentioned that because we would agree that's the minor of the 2.
We would, but it kind of got me excited because I didn't realize there was going to be another one because we don't get references that often on this show. Actually, I don't think.
Not to other DC things. We get references to Superman things, but not.
Yeah, but this was to Lobo, who is an intergalactic assassin, which is kind of what they said. They're like, oh, they're talking about how, oh, is he a bounty hunter, an assassin? And they just go, is it him? And she's like, no, we'd know if he was in town. I think that was meant to be Lobo. That's what it struck me as.
I don't know. I don't know why I didn't catch that. Sounds more obvious now that I must have been looking at my iPad or something when that line.
It's alright, it happens occasionally. I missed the one in Flash.
Yeah, the one you missed in Flash was... I mean, we won't spoil it because no spoilers for other shows when we're here, but...
Of course.
God damn it, the reference he missed in Flash was like glaring. It was like...
It was literally written on the screen.
Yeah, it was like the middle third of the screen had like all these things in it, and it was like, holy shit, how did you miss that? Anyway, but the big one I thought in this episode was we got a reference to Batman. By proxy, I mean it was a reference to.
But it could have been a reference to the Bat family as a whole.
Yeah, I mean it was a reference to Gotham specifically. Like,
yes,
they didn't say Gotham, but Kara says, "I thought masks were only popular in that other city." Which, I have to admit, I did think that was a little bit clunky the way they phrased that. I would have rather she just said Gotham.
Yeah.
I'd have rather she said, I thought masks were really popular in Gotham. Maybe that would have been too on the nose, maybe, but it just would have made a bit more sense for her to say the line like that.
Yeah.
It was just a weird way to say it. But
felt a little bit clunky, but it was fun.
It was fun because it does make you scratch your head and go, what does this mean? Does this mean anything, first of all? Is it just a fun little throwaway?
It could be. It was the fact that they said masks as well, not just like there's plural, so it felt like there's a whole Bat family out there, not just him.
That's a good point, yeah. It felt like, yeah, we've at least got a Batman, we've at least got a Robin, if not more.
Yeah.
Which is really insane because it's interesting, because we're pretty sure there's none of this in the Arrow Flashverse, outside of one really bad line of a dialogue in Arrow, which I won't go into.
Don't make yourself angry, Pete.
I won't make myself angry. But it's because we know Superman's in this universe, so that's well established.
Yeah.
Right. But the idea that Batman's also in this universe is really interesting.
See, at first I thought it doesn't really fit in this universe, and then I thought to the DC universe, as in the comics, it's like Metropolis is this bright, sunny place, and by proxy, in this instance, National City. Yeah. It is this bright, sunny, kind of cheerful place, and then you do have Gotham on the other side, and they both coexist.
Yeah, and that Gotham's a dark I mean, I've always sort of compared it to like Washington and New York.
Well, I know how a lot of the writers always consider it is they're both New York, but Metropolis is New York in day, and Gotham is New York at night.
That's well, yeah, that's there thematically, but I'm just trying to compare it to
Yeah,
actual two cities, because I think of Washington as being a lot less crime filled. I mean, I don't know how bad New York is these days, but I just in movies at least, New York always tends to be this grimy, especially in the '80s. I think of Batman as New York in the '80s in movies, and then Metropolis I see more of a sunny Washington DC, on a nice day kind of thing. But that's just, I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just arguing what the cities kind of remind us of, but it's interesting. It's interesting that we have a universe with Batman and Superman and their auxiliary characters, and then a universe with Flash and Green Lantern does exist. He may not exist yet, but Hal Jordan exists and he's went missing. Like, that's been
Absolutely, yeah.
definitely clarified, and obviously all the other characters that are on Legends and all that. It's interesting. I think I don't think we're going to see a Batman cameo.
No, but one of the smaller ones, like maybe even a Nightwing or something like that, could be cool.
Nightwing is possible. One of the small characters, or maybe just another character from Gotham, like maybe Jim Gordon's in town getting an award or something.
Do you know what would even be a real Oracle?
Oh shit!
If the DEO needs some help, call in someone.
That'd be fun. Or I don't know, just. Or even, what if, like, at one point when she's texting Clark, and Clark just mentions Bruce, or something, you could get something like that.
Just something small.
And that puts him in the same category as Superman, where we're not allowed to show him, but he's out there.
Yeah, and we're okay with that with Superman as it is.
Yeah, so it just puts him in the boat as that. I don't know, it'd be fun. But it took me back because I wasn't expecting a reference to Batman stuff in this.
No.
Because they tend to shy away from that. But then again, this entire show is a reference to Superman, and he's in the movies too, and that's allowed, so why not?
Yeah, definitely.
So, that's pretty cool. And of course, we don't spoil Flash and stuff when we're reviewing Supergirl, but of course, there's going to be Flash and Supergirl at the end of next month, which we're looking forward to. So,
and then obviously, if you watch Flash, you can go check out all our reviews anyway.
Yeah, and hints in Flash to this upcoming crossover, because that has happened in Flash.
Yes.
There's been a small hint of how it's going to happen, so that's assuming you don't watch both shows, but you may or may not do. But chances are, if you care about them enough to go on the internet and watch a review on YouTube, you probably do watch both, I imagine, but maybe not. But yeah, no, Supergirl had another great episode. That's 2 great episodes in a row.
Yeah.
We were really happy with both the last 2, so cannot complain. And I'm at the point now where I'll be really upset if there's no season 2.
Yeah, at the first 5 or 6, I was like, if this doesn't get a season 2, no big deal. But now, this is probably one of the shows I look forward to most each week.
Yeah, I have so much fun watching this. It's funny to look back at in the months leading up to it when we read that casting call for an Alpha Jimmy Olsen, and we were like, oh my god, this is going to be awful.
And so glad to be proven wrong.
And Jimmy's not Jimmy, but whatever. He's
a fine character.
He's Earth 7 Jimmy or whatever. I don't care. It doesn't matter. We can get on with it.
We'll play with that. Okay.
Well, I mean, I suppose Flash is Earth 1. There's an Earth 2 in Flash, so it can't be. This is Earth 3. Movies are Earth 4. There you go. Boom. There's your multiverse.
Sound.
There you go. And then the original Flash is like Earth 17.
Yeah, it's big anyway.
Yeah, because. Yeah. Alright, so we've prattled on long enough. This has went really long, but there was a lot to get into. Really good episode. 2 great episodes in a row. There's been some great episodes in the past. But really liking Supergirl, and it's great. It's great that we can say that. I'm actually really happy I can say that. So that's this week's Supergirl. Truth, justice, and the American way. But we're important too.
Scotland's not.
It's more important in England.